What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another one. If you were new to the channel, I am Gold Pony. I do new car, truck, SUV reviews on YouTube, and today we're in the brand new 2026 Honda Civic, courtesy of Ciocca Honda of Hanover in Hanover, PA. For more information on their inventory, please feel free to check out the link in the description box below. So we're in this one today for one because we have a premium paint color and I love it. It's called Blue Lagoon. It goes for $450 if you're interested, or $455, something like that. But very good looking sedan, and believe it or not, the Civic has now been in the US since 1973. So that's for over 50 years now, which is quite impressive. But ultimately in this video, we will be testing out and going over everything about this one, from acceleration to braking, steering feel, ride quality, sound system, exhaust clip, all that fun stuff. So having said all of that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. And so, as expected, there are a couple different trim levels for the 2026 Civic. You got the LX starting at $24,595, which actually is only a modest price bump of $345 from last year. Typically, I'm seeing at least $1,000 this year. But anyways, then you got the Sport being the one we are in today, starting at $26,595. But regardless of the trim level that you go with, the power plant on the Civic is going to be the same. Powering the little beast is a 2-liter naturally aspirated inline 4-cylinder that puts out 150 horsepower at 6,000 RPM, 133 pound-feet of torque that comes in at 4,000 RPM. Power is going to be sent to the front wheels through a CVT with paddle shifters, which of course you guys know we will be testing out here in a little bit. But 0 to 60 time approximately 9.2 seconds, with MPG numbers coming in at 32 in the city, 41 on the highway for the LX, and then 31 city, 39 then on the highway for the Sport, taking regular unleaded fuel. So before we do any kind of fun acceleration test here in our Civic, I did want to mention to you guys the drive modes. There's a toggle switch located just behind the shifter. Drive modes are going to include Econ, Normal, and Sport, adjusting things like the shift points, the throttle response, and actually the climate control settings as well. The way that works is if I were to bump it back to Econ here, that's essentially going to dial back the air conditioning a little bit, giving you a little better MPGs. And believe it or not, I've owned Civics in the past and that does work. It gives you a couple MPGs more than you otherwise would get if you didn't have it in that Econ driving mode and dialing back the AC and all that fun stuff. So that's pretty cool. But now having got all of that out of the way, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and find a straightaway. Let's put the acceleration here to the test and let's see how quickly we can get our new 2026 Honda Civic here up to speed. All right, you guys, we're actually going to do the paddle shifter test here first. I got it in, I guess, manual shift mode, you could call it. That's kind of cool. All right, keep in mind, this is a CVT. I'm not actually shifting through anything, but having said that, it did kind of simulate an automatic decently there, because when I hit the paddle shifters too, it did shift to the next gear relatively quickly. Like, it wasn't actually that bad for me just shifting a CVT. I know that's not a thing, but you get what I'm saying. It does simulate an automatic pretty good, and it is holding the gear, I suppose, as well. So that's actually decent for a CVT with paddle shifters. It's not that bad, so I don't have a problem with that. But anyways, now that I've got that out of the way, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and find one more straightaway. Let's put the acceleration here to the test with the car having full control, and let's see how quickly we can get this one here up to speed. All right, found our straightaway here in 3, 2, 1, go! It's pretty loud. It's not the quickest thing in the world, but it's one of those things where the more you drive a vehicle, the more you get used to it. So it's kind of like rear visibility in a 350Z or a Corvette or something like that. You do get used to it. So not the quickest thing in the world, but it should be plenty to merge you onto the highway. There are quicker compacts out there. This is just not one of them, but it's okay. Like I said, it should be plenty to merge you onto the highway. But to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. So up front, you will find 11.1-inch ventilated front discs. In the back, 10.2-inch solid rear disc. As far as that 60-0 stopping distance goes, it's going to come in at a respectable 122 feet. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. As far as braking feel goes, it's really good, actually. It's really good. It's definitely on the firmer side of things. Instantly brings you to a stop. It's exactly what I would want in a car like this Civic. So braking is 100% on point in this thing. But then touching on suspension and handling. Up front, you're gonna get a McPherson strut front suspension. In the back, independent multi-link rear suspension, front and rear stabilizer bars. As far as ride quality goes, that's the first thing I wanna mention, because This car is not known for ride quality. It makes up for it in other places, but the ride quality, you do tend to feel a decent amount more of the road compared to some of the competition, let's say like the Corolla. Corolla is probably the smoothest ride in the class. This one might be the roughest, but it's, like I said, it's not bad. I'm sure it would be something that you get used to. And like I said, I've had probably at least 3 Civics in my lifetime. I've gotten used to them. It's just there are smoother rides. That's all I'm really trying to say. And this is probably the bumpiest road in Hanover right now. So obviously my camera's gonna be bouncing around right now, but still, it could be better. But now, like I said, Honda does make up for that with the steering feel. So when it comes to the steering feel, it is definitely weighted on the heavier side of things. So much more playful than, let's say, the Corolla. The Corolla has a very loosey-goosey steering feel, whereas this one is a heavier weight to it, so it instantly points you in the direction that you want to go. So when it comes to the steering feel, I 100% all day prefer this or the Mazda 3 because they have a heavier weight to them. And that is a good thing if you want to have a little more fun on the back roads and stuff like that. As far as cabin noise goes, we're going 39 miles per hour. I'll shut up for a second. There's a little bit of road noise. Again, it's something that you would get used to. It's something that wouldn't bother me personally, but it is there. And the other thing is, when I really got on it during that acceleration test there's a very substantial bit of engine noise. And that part I actually like because I love the sound of engines, so that doesn't bother me either. But then touching our rear visibility, 100% perfectly fine in this Civic. Because of the shape of this thing, you're certainly not gonna have any issues with rear visibility when it comes to this thing. But that pretty much rounds out the performance segment of this review. Let's now go ahead and get to perhaps the best part of this car, and that is the styling. Let's check out the exterior of our brand new 2026 Honda Civic. All right, so I'm going to start the exterior portion of this review by saying something controversial. I think the Civic is the best looking compact car in the segment without a doubt. I love the look of this thing. It kind of reminds me of like the 96 to 2000 look. I just think it's absolutely amazing. But anyways, let's go ahead and start with where the Civic is made. Taking a look at the VIN, first character is the number 2, indicating that the Civic is built and assembled in Canada, Gotta love it. But let's go ahead and start up front on this one. LED headlights with LED daytime running lights. You do get the automatic feature. You also get automatic high beams. So if you have your high beams on at night and it senses a vehicle coming in the opposite direction, it's going to automatically dim them back to low beams. And when that vehicle is gone, it's going to automatically bounce it back up to high beams for you there. So that is pretty cool. The other thing I like about the Civic is the low front hood line here. So definitely doesn't sit up as high as some of the competition. So it gives it a more aggressive appearance for that particular reason. So I do like that as well. Then if you look to the bottom corners there, you are going to find front air curtains helping direct air around the wheel and tire combination for a little better aerodynamics there. But definitely a very good looking front end. And again, with the paint color, it's called Lagoon Blue. Goes for $455 in case you wanted that. But that pretty much rounds out the front end of this one. Let's now go ahead and swing around to the side. All right, so now since we are around to the side of the Civic, let me start by saying black window surrounds coming standard. Taking a look at the side mirrors, they are power adjustable side mirrors. They're going to be body colored with the LX and then gloss black with the sport trim level that we have with us here today. They're also going to be heated with that sport trim level. I wanted to mention that. Then taking a look down at the wheel setup, it's going to be 16-inch steel wheels with covers for the LX trim level and then 18-inch gloss black alloys for our sport trim level we have with us here. But that pretty much rounds out the side profile. Let's now go ahead and swing around to the back. All right, so now since we are around to the back of the Civic here, starting all the way to the top, body colored shark fin antenna. You do have the trim level badging found on the trunk there. It's going to be finished in gloss black since we have the sport trim level, of course. LED taillights do come standard for both trim levels. You got to appreciate that. And then just below it all, this is my favorite part with the sport trim level at least. There is a single exhaust outlet and it does come with a chrome tip. So having said that, I do believe you guys know what we have to do next here. As always, here is that exhaust clip. Alright, so now since we are around to the back of the Civic, when it comes to opening that rear trunk, there is a button on the key fob to unlock it. There's also a rubberized button on the trunk itself, of course, then as well. But once opened up, cargo capacity is going to come in at 14.8 cubic feet. If that was not enough space, there's a 60-40 split, meaning the rear seats do fold down for quite a bit of extra space then if you needed it. There's a little bit of cargo lighting found in that cargo area, of course. Then if you were to lift up underneath of the cargo floor, you will find a spare tire, which I always prefer and I love to see. But then make your way up to the rear legroom. That comes in at 37.4 inches. For reference, I'm an even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I had in the rear seats there. There is a rear center armrest with cup holders if you go with the sport trim level only. No rear ventilation and no rear USB charging ports. Typically those last two, you don't find them on any of the competition either, so it's all good there. But then make your way up to the front seats. Manually adjustable cloth seating coming standard. Leather and heated front seats are going to come with the hybrid, and that's going to be a separate review. I always review the Civic hybrid separately than the regular Civic, so that's how you're going to get it. In case anybody's wondering, why doesn't the Civic come with leather, heated, and all that stuff? It's only with the hybrid. But anyways, as far as seat comfort goes, with our manually adjustable cloth seats for both trim levels here, it actually wasn't that bad. It was plenty comfortable for me. Yeah, I didn't have any issues with them. I'll just put it that way. But then take a look at the steering wheel. It is tilt and telescoping. It's going to be leather wrapped for the sport trim level only. If you go with the LX, it's going to be wrapped in a urethane, in case you're curious about that. But I liked it. No issues there. But now let's go ahead and make our way to the startup. But let me start by showing you guys the cool key here. You got a Honda logo on the one side. When you flip it over, lock, unlock, the button to pop the trunk. The circular button, that is your remote start, which only comes with the sport trim level if you did want that one. But it is all keyless entry with a push button start. So all I'm going to do here is simply put my foot on the brake and press that engine start button located kind of by the driver's right knee there. And so once started up, if you're familiar with Honda, you've seen these gauges before. You essentially have the 7-inch digital screen on the left. Speedometer is going to be on your right then, and you can control what is on that digital screen by using the steering wheel mounted controls. It's a good bit of information. Gives you things like how many miles you have left until you hit empty, average fuel economy. Of course, your drive modes are up there as well. Digital speedometer, speed limit recognition technology as well. So pretty much everything you could possibly want on the digital portion of the gauges. And also, when you change the drive mode, it will adjust a little bit of the colors. Like Econ is going to give you a green color, Sport is going to give you red, and so on. So that's kind of cool, I guess. But now let's go ahead and make our way to overall interior quality. Automatic climate control does come standard for the Civic, so you set the temperature, it's going to automatically hit that for you. You do have actually LED interior lighting up here, which is pretty cool. So that's for driver and passenger. I like that. Get some sport pedals with our sport trim level that we have today, or alloy foot pedals, however you want to put that. Typical honeycomb finishes found just above the passenger side glove box underneath the infotainment screen. Typical Civic fashion there. I do like around the climate control dials here, it's finished in like a silver texturized format. That's a very high-end feel to it, so I'm a big fan of that. Just in front of the shifter, you have a little bit of rubberized storage for where you're probably going to put your cell phone there. Everything surrounding the shifter and cup holders here, it's all finished in a texturized black finish, and I love it. They could have done this with like a matte black finish, and that would have been boring, but they gave it a nice texturized finish. So well done, Honda, for that when the competition isn't doing that. Definitely ups the interior quality a little bit right there. You got electromechanical parking brake. Then within the center armrest, there's actually a decent amount of storage, probably more storage than I'm used to in the compact car segment. So I like that as well. So overall, it's a little bit on the basic side, but silver door handles too. I just noticed that. That's pretty nice. But it's actually done a little bit better than a lot of the competition, so I don't mind it. They did a decent job at the interior quality, especially for the price point, so well done. But now let's go ahead and take a look at the infotainment screen. What you're looking at is a 7-inch color touchscreen display. Get Bluetooth and audio streaming with that, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, of course. Overall, the infotainment is kind of a step back. It looks like it's a little bit outdated at this point, but that's okay. You can also check out your radio information up there as well. So there are 2 different sound systems dependent upon the trim level that you go with. So if you go with the LX, you're going to get 4 speakers and 160 watts. However, if you go with the Sport that we have with us here today, you do get 8 speakers and 180 watts. So having said that, I do believe you guys know what we have to do next here. Let's go ahead and turn on the radio. Let's see what we got playing today, and let's test out the clarity of this one. Maybe have a little high dollar wine. Do you want to go out to the car? It was okay. That was FM radio though, so it wasn't the best clarity just because it was FM radio. It wasn't Sirius XM or Bluetooth or anything like that, but it gets the job done. Not a ton of bass with that thing, but Again, it probably would have been better if I hooked my phone up to the car or something like that. But anyways, last thing I wanted to mention to you guys on the infotainment screen is when you do put the Civic in reverse, you will find a rear view camera coming standard across the board, letting you know who or what is behind you with a couple different views as well. But that is always going to lead us into safety. And so let me start by saying the Civic is an IIHS top safety pick. So heck of a start right there. Front side curtain airbags do come standard. You get driver and passenger knee airbags up front as well. In the back, you got latch, aka lower anchors and tethers for children for the rear car seats, rear child door locks, tire pressure monitoring system, but also coming standard. Honda Sensing, that gives you a collision mitigation braking system, road departure mitigation, adaptive cruise control, forward collision warning, lane departure warning, traffic jam assist, traffic sign recognition, and a driver attention monitoring system then as well. So overall, when it comes to my final thoughts, the Civic has an excellent design. You got to appreciate that. Very good fuel economy as well. 40 plus miles per gallon on the LX. You got to love that. Good steering feel, at least compared to some of the competition. As far as room for improvement goes, it is a little bit of a bumpy ride, but like I said, I've had Civics in the past. It is something that you get used to. It's just not as smooth as like the Corolla or something like that. The other thing is, I would love to see rear charging ports in the back seats. And I know it's not something that you typically find on the competition, but still in the compact car segment, there are still people that put their kids in the back and they would love to have some charging ports. That's all I'm saying. But that pretty much rounds out this one, you guys. Let me know what you think of the Civic in the comments section below. I do love reading your comments. Feel free to follow me on social media stuff at the bottom of the screen. If you wanted to see what's coming next on the channel before it gets to YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe and the bell notification button. If you're into new car reviews, that is what I've been doing here for 11 years now. Do appreciate you guys watching more than you know, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Stay gold. Let's do this, son. Straighten up. Take two. Whoa, that mirror's off. Oink. Oink.